my camera okay? Can you
Brendan?
guys see me?
Yeah, you look great.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't know if it was super dark. It looks weird on my end. Okay, good.
No, you are good. And the recording is started.
It's just that you got the flowers behind you. That's it. You got the light on.
Okay, so this is a public notice for the City of Boulder Beverage Licensing Authority hearing for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 at 3 p.m. This is a virtual hearing. Caitlin, would you mind reading through the instructions and the rules of decorum?
Absolutely. Give me a second. I share my screen. All right. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board and commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. More about this vision and the project's community engagement process can be found on our website. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their whole name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online for public comment. The chat function or the Q&A function in this case should only be used for technical questions to staff and should not be used for public comments. All right, I will go ahead and move on to member roll call. If you'll just say your presence aloud. Member Barnes?
Present.
Thank you. Member Crane?
Here?
Member
Present.
Haggerty?
Member Haggerty present.
Thank you. And Chair Roberts?
Chair Roberts, present.
Thank you so much. Next, we have approval of Beverage Licensing Authority minutes from April 16th, 2025.
Has everyone had a chance to review them? And does anyone have any amendments? Is there a motion to approve?
Member Barnes
Haggerty.
approves.
Member Haggerty seconds the motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Minutes approved.
Thank you so much. Next we have hearing agenda issues from licensing clerk. There's just one agenda item, and that is that we will ask that natural grocers, which is agenda item 7, be continued to the next month's hearing.
Do you need a motion for that?
I don't know. Do I need a motion for that, Roberto? Sorry.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Roberto.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So moved.
I'll make a motion to accept the delay for Vitamin Cottage Natural Foods Market. Or, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Member Haggerty
Member-
seconds the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay, thank you so much. Next we have agenda item 2, which is matters from Boulder Police Department, and Officer Reck is present.
Good afternoon. I'm Officer Leah Reck. I'm sorry I missed the meeting last week and didn't get to meet the 2 new BLA members, but I'm the liquor enforcement officer and look forward to working with you both and everybody, I should say. Let's see, the only thing I have, we have seen a substantial increase in the fraudulent IDs that are turned in, which is good and bad. Good that our liquor license establishments are getting those turned in. but bad that we're seeing more and more out there. Just to give you an idea, for 2024, we had 1,851 fraudulent IDs turned in. And so far this year, we're not even to the end of May, and we've had 1,139. We're working on getting some statistics about how many are CU students versus non-CU students, but definitely an increase. Something that we should probably talk about in the future, and maybe you guys can come up with some suggestions on some other things that we can do to try to combat this, because it definitely seems like it's getting worse, and the age of the card holders is getting younger and younger. I have been issuing a substantial amount, and I wish I would have written down the numbers of second, third, fourth offense tickets. Those are who I write. The first one is typically a warning. They get it sent to CU, as well as I send them a warning. This is just giving an update to the new members. I'll send them a warning and say, you know, we received one of your fake IDs. If we get another, you could face a ticket. And then if we get a second or third or fourth, then I go ahead and I issue them a ticket for having that fake ID and having it seized at the liquor licensed establishment. So we're there, and I'm really hoping that we can team up with someone at CU this fall for that incoming freshman class, and talk about the repercussions and the outcomes of and the harms of having fake IDs, and what it looks like, because it's not just getting into an establishment. There's a lot more to it. So maybe we can talk about that this summer at the retreat. But other than that, I don't think I have anything else. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I have one. Officer Rec, what does it mean when you give a ticket? I imagine a warning is like a warning, don't do this again. What's an actual ticket? Is that
So a
money?
ticket is where we actually write them up for the violation. They can be sent to either Muni court or county court, just depending upon, you know, the I guess I should say the attitude or the response of the individual. But then they go to court, and typically, from what I understand, they usually get a couple options. One is they can plead not guilty, just like anybody, you know, who's sent to court. And if they do that, then they would go through the court procedure. And Roberto might have to correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Otherwise, they can take a diversion. And then diversion, there's it's a process there where they will need to go. And Mia, sorry, Mia is also there. They can do some things, maybe some community service, maybe some classes, some restorative justice, some things like that. And then at the end of it, depending upon, and again, every situation is going to be different for every student and every person, depending upon their history. And then at the end of that, if they complete that process, then I believe that the ticket is sealed. But Roberto, you might have to jump in and explain that part of it.
Yeah, I will actually defer to Ms. Keller on all things municipal prosecution.
So, but that's typically what a ticket would look like. And then I think on their second, or which would typically be a third offense, because the first one's a warning, the second one's a ticket, the third one, I think it's similar, but maybe there's more consequences for that. But I do think that if we could maybe have some deterrence in the very beginning to even get these fraudulent IDs, that would help. As well as the liquor license establishments. Some are not turning them in, so I'd like to try to come up with a way that we can, you know, communicate with those establishments to make sure that if they do seize them, that they're getting them turned into us, so that we can hold the people accountable. But that was a really long-winded answer to your question, Leah.
No, it was good. I didn't know if there was like a court involved, if it was like a speeding ticket. I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah,
So.
and then sorry, Mia, I should have let you speak on that one, because she would know more on that end of it.
I think you covered it very well.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions for me?
It's Member Crane. Incidentally, congratulations on 24 years. Your affidavit says you've been at this for 24 years. We're lucky to have you, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Sourcing of these IDs, is there any consistency to them? Is there anything that can be supported by the authority that would reduce the number, maybe increase the number of valid ones and reduce the number of of counterfeit ones so that, I mean, there's got to be a cost to the fact that you've got to deal with so many and the institutions that, obviously they accept them sometimes to their peril and it's very costly for them. Um, any thoughts on that?
I do. I have quite a few thoughts, and I'm not sure if we want to wait till the
Yeah, I
retreat
mean,
and talk about that, because I would definitely love your input on, as community members, what your thoughts are. I also think that trying to find the people who are manufacturing these fraudulent IDs,
Right.
and let's get to the source of it and see if we can maybe deter them from even making them in the first place. It's definitely something that when we have an opportunity, I would love to talk about it with you all and get some input on thoughts as community members on what you guys and as the licensing authority, what your thoughts are on what maybe we could do to try to slow this madness down.
Would bet that the licensees would be willing to fund and support an effort to reduce them in a systematic way because it costs them. They're the ones that pay the price.
And we do
Okay,
have
well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I keep track of who turns them in, and we do have a lot of establishments that are very good at identifying those fake IDs, and they are getting better and better. And I'll even bring some with me for you to take a look at. You can see how good some of them are. But yeah, we could talk about that later. But I thought it was kind of crazy that we're only the end of May and we're already at over 1,000. And then I have a gal who helps me process those, and she's a volunteer, and she's spending about 30 hours a week just processing those IDs. So almost a full-time job for her. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Officer Rec. Thank you, everybody. If there's more questions for Officer Rec, I'll move on to agenda item 3, which is general public comment for future beverage licensing authority hearings. If you are in attendance and you would like to give public comment on something that is not on the agenda, please go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, I see 2 hands raised for public comment. And Chair, are you okay with a 3-minute time limit like normal?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Let me get my timer up. Okay. All right, I have my timer up, and Mr. Dewey is present, and then I have another person named AJ who has their hand raised. So Mr. Dewey, I saw you raise your hand first, so I'm gonna go ahead and allow you to talk first, and once I can hear you, I'll start the timer. And you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay, perfect. And
hear me?
timer is started. Oops,
Okay.
there.
I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but I was having a little issue with my camera. So I'm just, as some of you know, I know member Roberts knows me, and Caitlin, yourself, and I was invited by Alyssa to come and just give a brief introduction to the new members of the PLA. You may not know who I am, and that's all right. I used to run a nonprofit program called the Responsible Association of Retailers in Boulder. I had taken over in 2019 the Boulder Responsible Hospitality Group. And my main mission through that nonprofit was to educate and train the community in safe and responsible alcohol service and sales, and had done so for about 5 years until I unfortunately was let go last December by the nonprofit. Since then, RAR has unfortunately been closed by that nonprofit. And because of that, I have decided to open up my own business under my own LLC and resurrect what RAR was doing within the community. So really, without going into too much detail, I know and hope that Officer or Member Roberts and Member Carr can fill the new members in a little bit on what I was doing in the past, but I was providing fake ID trainings which would help to combat what you and Officer Rex were just talking about, as well as some other things. I have a lot of knowledge and background on where those come from. We were working in the community to stop that sort of thing and to help Officer Rex to do her job well. I was hoping to reconnect with Officer Rex this year before being let go, and that is something I would like to do as well. And also, while I was out of business, I had several of my old members contact me wanting me to provide this service in the community. Again, they felt they weren't getting their trainings like they're mandated within 60 days. They wanted the fake ID trainings back. They wanted my consultation services back as far as liquor licensing goes, and really just helps facilitate the good and responsible service and sales and use of alcohol in your community there in Boulder. So really what I wanted to go forward and just ask all of the members today, in accordance with what Alyssa, the clerk, was asking me to do, is I would really like it if I could get maybe 10, 15 minutes of your time next month to really explain what I was doing in Boulder, the effectiveness of what I was doing, and how I do feel I can be effective in doing it again for the Boulder community. I'm already back in the community training. We have the state certified training by Patrick Maroney. It's the ABT training, which I know he came ahead of the board maybe a couple months ago. So I'm under his guise and back in the community training my old RAR members. And I've already scooped up some new folks who want to start it up. So really, I would just really appreciate, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes of your time next month if I can present what it is exactly I'm doing for the community.
And Mr. Dewey, your time
yeah,
is
sorry.
up. That's
Thank
okay.
you. No, that's all. That's really all
Okay.
for now.
And board, if you have any questions or anything for Mr. Dewey, that's fine. Otherwise, I can let our next public comment go.
Just thank you for the information.
Give me 1 second. And I'm just looking for my correct screen so that I can okay, I'm just gonna have to stop sharing. Okay, and then I am going to allow our public commenter named AJ to talk. If you will state your full name before beginning, that would be awesome.
Hello, my name is AJ Sandoval. I am the security manager at the Pearl Street Pub. Ironically, I'm here to talk to you about RHG/RAR, where there's a bit of a void in Boulder since RAR wasn't able to fulfill its mission here, unfortunately. Just want to say welcome to the new board members. Your work here is extremely important. Congratulations to the new chair. And I apologize. It's could be a lot of work, as you know. Representatives from the city and from PD. Thank you for allowing my time to speak. So RHG has been around had been around over 20 years. I was a volunteer on the board of directors for about 18 years when RHG was taken over by RAR. This would be at its core an information sharing group, also nonprofit, but I'm not taking salary to try to get this started. We are staffed by volunteers. Former chair Absalom was the executive director with that, and I've served with him for many, many years. We definitely have that void where getting information out to licensee holders can be difficult. With a group like this, it becomes easier for the city to communicate policies, procedures, information from law enforcement to be able to speak about, fake IDs, what's going on. When RHG was around, I think one of the things that failed was it was every month. And oftentimes we didn't really have enough to talk about. So people would show up because it was a mitigating factor. Meeting was over in 20 minutes. We would take questions. Sometimes we weren't questions. And so my vision of the new RHG, which I was thinking about calling Boulder Together, would be staffed by people from the industry and people from the community. So not necessarily in the industry, but people in the community, and try and really get some of those shareholders all in the same place where people can communicate and ask questions. It wouldn't be a political group. You know, there's the Colorado Restaurant Association. This would be strictly more information, training on over service, training on de-escalation for security staff, training for fake IDs. And I think it's really, really something that is worthwhile to start. But I need the city's help to be able to do that. I'm more than willing to speak at an additional date as well to kind of iron out some details, but I wanted to get this out there so we can start thinking about this, because the busy season, summer is coming up, and the fall season is coming up. And those are going to be some high impact times that I think this would be a beneficial organization for the
And
BLA
sir,
to allow.
your time is up now as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ and Nathan Dewey, for bringing this to our attention. I didn't realize that the community was feeling this void since RAR kind of closed, so that's really great to know that a void has been identified, so we can work with that. Thank you. We look forward to seeing what you can do.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Something that is not on the agenda? I don't see any other raised hands. And board, if you don't have any questions for our public commenters, I will move on. Perfect. We are on agenda item 4, show cause hearing concerning an alleged violation and whether the hotel restaurant type liquor license held by Mojo Kitchen LLC, DBA Mojo Taqueria, 2785 Iris Avenue, Boulder, Colorado, 80304 should be suspended or revoked. If you are here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand and I will allow you. I see one hand raised. If anyone else is here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand. And there is a stipulation in this matter. So I will hand it over to Ms. Keller to begin.
Thank you, Ms. Kellogg. Like you said, there is a stipulation in this matter, so we would move for the board to accept that stipulation at this time.
Is there a motion to approve the stipulation?
Member Barnes approves the stipulation.
Member Roberts will second the motion to approve the stipulation. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Stipulation approved.
Thank you. All right, and then there's nothing else from the city.
Thank you. Are you represented by counsel today?
No, I'm just representing myself.
Okay, then I will go ahead and read this into the record. This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority, City of Boulder, to determine whether or not the licensed business Mojo Kitchen LLC, DBA Mojo Taqueria.
Taqueria.
Taqueria, sorry. The font is small and I don't have a good accent. With a hotel restaurant type liquor license shall be suspended or revoked on the basis of the violations alleged in the order to show cause served upon the licensee and requiring the licensees present here today Because this is a disciplinary proceeding, the authority shall not ask for or allow comment from members or the general public on the guilt of the licensee or the appropriate discipline to be imposed. The purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony presented by the city and by the licensee in order to enable this authority to make findings and to determine by preponderance of evidence whether or not the licensee has violated the various laws as alleged. If in the course of this hearing, testimony or other evidence establishes the guilt of the licensee of violation or some other law, rule, or regulation than those stated in the notice, the licensee shall be afforded a reasonable continuance upon any offer that evidence in defense, explanation, and mitigation is not available to the licensee, but can be obtained within the period of a continuance not to exceed 10 days. A record is being made of these proceedings. All testimony shall be given under oath. The rules of evidence and requirement of proof and procedures shall confirm to the extent practicable to those in civil non-jury cases, but when necessary to ascertain facts affecting the substantial rights of the public or of the licensee, the authority may receive and consider evidence not admissible under such rules, if such evidence possess probative value commonly accepted by reasonable and prudent persons in the conduct of the affairs. The rules of privilege required by law shall be respected in this proceeding, and the chair may exclude incompetent and unduly repetitious evidence. The chair shall rule upon all questions of evidence and can procedure, subject to being overruled on motions sustained by a majority vote of those members of the authority. Should a licensee wish to request, do I read this part, Roberto? Do I keep going?
Yeah, I don't know which part you're referring to. It's like
Oh,
you have it, I don't. So
okay.
out of
The
an
whole
abundance of caution, and so for clarity purposes, please do.
Okay. Should a licensee wish to request a fine in lieu of active suspension days, then they should notify the authority of this after a penalty is determined, if any, but before suspension posting is discussed, and the licensee should be prepared to supply an estimated per day suspension dollar amount for the authority's deliberations. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board secretary. Members of the BLA, are there any conflicts of interest or do you have any ex parte contacts regarding this item that you wish to disclose?
Member Barnes, my daughter worked at Mojo Taqueria about a year and a half. She's no longer there. She's in college away, so I don't know if that's a conflict or not, but
Do you,
disclose that.
Hi, this is Roberto Ramirez, the Deputy City Attorney for the City of Boulder. Member Barnes, do you believe that any interaction that you had with your daughter concerning her employment there would cause you to be unfair, either for or against this business with regards to the allegations that we're here to determine?
No.
Okay, then we're good.
thank you, Member Burns. Um,
Chair Roberts, I'm so sorry. It looks like the second page of the procedures got cut off for this first matter, but if you skip to page 32, then you'll see the second page.
okay, okay. Do I read all of this?
I believe this is then the outline for how we'll proceed. So there's
Okay.
stipulation offer and acceptance, which we already did.
Yep. Okay.
So I will go ahead and swear our licensee in, and then you can proceed to the mitigating factors here.
Thank you.
Sir, if you will say your name and spell your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Michael Ty Hammes, Michael. My middle name is Ty, and last name is Hammes.
Thank you. And then if you'll give an address for the record.
My home address is 314 McConnell Drive, Lyons, Colorado 80540.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
I do.
Thank you. And then I'll hand it back to the board for mitigating factors.
Thank you, Caitlin. Now is your opportunity to speak on this matter. What would you like to say?
I'm sure. I would like to say, well, obviously I signed the stipulating agreement because I don't contest that this happened. I feel it's unfortunate. It was an unfortunate incident. I believe that the person that was working is a very conscientious, responsible worker who does feel a lot of regret about this situation happening. And he believed that these were people that had come in before, and regardless, it was an oversight and it was unfortunate. I do feel on the behalf of the business that we do our best to do everything the right way. We run what I would consider to be a very neighborhood, family oriented business. We tend to hire a lot of kids who come in starting around 14 or 15 and work their way up through the restaurant to eventually maybe become servers, and their families come in. And so we don't really promote heavy drinking. And we really, try to hire people that are responsible and mature, and we have good oversight with those employees. All that said, mistakes happen as well. I know this isn't the first time that someone has come in, and this is a regretful situation, but we're also taking other steps because it's a good eye-opening experience for everybody. So one thing we hadn't done in the past was like the bars program, where they send out someone to test and make sure that we are carding always. But beyond that, we're also just open to learning anything that we could be doing better to prevent this happening. And I don't in any way minimize the significance of serving underage. And so I think that's really all I have to say.
Are there any questions from the board? I have a question.
Yeah.
So it sounds from the report, so he thought that he recognized the two individuals.
Correct.
So how did you handle that with the rest of your team? And how did you enhance your alcohol policy based on this violation?
Well, as far as with the team, we actually, soon after that, we had what was going to be our scheduled, we hosted a tips training course, which we do every year or every other year, depending on where our staff is. Otherwise, we'll either host it if we have enough people or send people off. We discussed it with the whole team. We went through again that we have all of the proper ID checking book. We made everybody go through again. Whenever we hire people, we have a employee handbook that has a section just that people will sign stating the significance of the responsibility of serving alcohol and what's expected of them. As far as that specific employee, I did not terminate him because I'd be interested in feedback from the board on this, but my feeling was person is going to be the last person that's ever going to make this mistake again, especially coming from someone who's been in the industry for a while. So I felt that it was more valuable to keep him on staff because the other staff is going to see the experience that he went through. And so, our hope is just that, that this is just a very, eye-opening experience for everyone, to always be diligent, not make assumptions, that type of thing.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board before we begin deliberations? Okay. At this time, we will close for deliberations and the board will come to a decision.
Okay.
So just to open the discussion, this is an unfortunate occurrence just by simply having not checked an ID. That seems like the most basic form, one of the most basic things that our licensees could be doing is at least checking. So that's kind of disappointing. There's also not a lot of there were no mitigating factors included in the packet, which
Oh, there should have been. I dropped off a packet of mitigating factors.
did I miss it?
Yeah. That was my question too, for maybe Caitlin.
Oh, no, I brought it in and handed it to someone at the Benton building. I guess 10 days or so ago, and she looked over with it with me.
Give me
And I
one
might even
second.
have her card on me. And when I don't have my wallet with me. Well, it's unfortunate. But I did have a whole packet of mitigating factors.
Okay.
Okay, give me
Yeah.
1 second.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
Leah. We're looking through those right now because I was the one that accepted them. Give us
Oh,
just-
okay.
There we go.
No worries.
That's right, Elisa.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's great. I am glad to hear that. I mean, regardless of what they are, that does kind of show a sense of ownership and, responsibility for this. So that's great. Is there any discussion from the board while we wait on that?
Yeah, member Haggerty has a quick question. Am I able to ask Ty a question? Or
Uh,
did we, or is this just, are we just discussing amongst ourselves?
we did close for deliberation
Okay,
because
no problem.
nobody had
No
any
problem.
questions, but if we can open it, I don't know, Roberta?
Yeah, thank you. Member Haggerty, if you wish to reopen the question, it would have to be done by motion. And if you can just state the reason why.
No worries, not that important, so we can pass on that. But member Haggerty again, to the board, so assuming that we do have some mitigation to look at, and this being, I believe, is this the first offense? That's a question for no, yes, it is. I'm wondering if, if we could just go by on the just looking at what looking at the table, what the proper consequences should be. If that just aligns with what we're thinking here, knowing that first time offense, mitigation factors, assuming that we are able to see them come through. Ty mentioned, sitting down with the staff, kind of a wake-up call, which I think was an important point. And just hoping that he did re-stress to the staff the importance of checking, as member Roberts or Chair Roberts mentioned. And that is disappointing in itself, but I don't know if that's necessarily a reason to elevate the consequences necessarily. So I'm thinking kind of my first thought's kind of baseline consequence here, for it being a first offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we, go ahead.
I also agree. I also agree with that. I agree with that.
Knowing, Go ahead, Caitlin.
Sorry to interrupt. We do have our packet of mitigating factors, and I sincerely apologize. Those did not make it into the packet. I'm going to email them to you all right now, and then they will be posted publicly after the hearing as soon as I have the opportunity for that. Just so that you know, if you wanted to take a second to check those out.
Just to educate me, Member Crane speaking, what's the minimum that we can, that we are required to impose, if anything? If there's a you know, a determination of a violation, which
Yeah,
has been conceded essentially.
on page 19.
Well, I saw the list of things. I
Oh,
just
okay.
wanted to decode them.
Yeah, so we can deliberate and make a case-by-case decision. These are recommendations from the state. Certainly if we don't think that they're hard, that they're going to be effective, we can add on to it. And if we feel that this licensee and we decide that there's a lot of mitigating circumstances and we're always wanting to be fair and we can stray from that.
A
Is my-
second question. if
Go
I
ahead,
can.
Caitlin. Were you going to say something?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So we did just get the mitigating factors.
I would like to see the mitigating factors like I know everybody else would.
Yeah, could we
Second
maybe?
question, just from a procedural point of view, where you have a first offender and minimum sanctions or whatever we're calling them, punishments are imposed, does the city have a practice of examining, retesting to make sure that compliance is now continuing at the premises? Is that a practice that we could expect to see? What's the habit? I'm trying
Go
to get a
ahead.
handle on what the future would look like.
Chair Roberts, do you want me to take this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
So Member Crane, to kind of go back to the original question, as the authority, you can certainly do what you believe is in the best interest of both the community and the licensee. That is to say, the least egregious case that you will ever see, you might say, you know what? I think this was a wake-up call, and I don't think that punishment is appropriate. They already have this on their record now. If this ever happens, it'll be their second offense. On one hand, on the complete opposite side, you can say, we are pulling their license. So anything in there. As to your follow-up question, one of the things that has occurred with other licensees is a requirement that they do check-ins, say once a month for 3 months or 6 months, just to ensure, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what we've done so far in month 1. Here's what we've done in month 2. So you can certainly decide if you want to do that. Now that you have all gotten it, one thing I might suggest is that you recess for about 5 minutes or so, turn off your cameras, put yourself on mute, review the materials, and then come back on.
I mean,
That would be a good idea. Do we need to have a motion for that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll make a motion for a 5-minute recess in order to catch up on the reading.
Member Haggerty seconds motion.
All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
for Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Great. We'll resume at 3:50.
Thank you.
Did everyone have enough time to review the mitigating factors? Okay. Since we are still in deliberation, does anybody have any comments?
Well, I apologize for all the typos in those mitigating factors.
No. No worries.
No worries.
I really appreciated seeing some of the community outreach that they've done. I appreciate the significance on how they're training and kind of relooking at things. So that definitely plays into kind of how I'm thinking about this.
Member Barnes, I appreciate Ty how thorough you were. That was I'm impressed with how thorough your
So
recommendations were.
now we need to figure out how we want to proceed. I feel like this was an accident. I think that Ty made a great point that this person and all the colleagues are going to see that this happened. I guess I don't feel strongly about a 5 days served. I think that I'd be willing to go lower than that standard in this case. It is a first time offense. Um, but I'm not comfortable with going forward with just a warning. I don't think that that um, would suffice. So I would recommend 2 days served with 10 days in abeyance. And that means that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Roberto, but that would mean 2 days they would not be able to serve alcohol. If they had a violation within the year, then they would have to serve 10 days.
That is correct.
But I'd like to know, thank you. I'd like to know what you guys think.
Member Haggerty. Yeah, I think that's Chair Roberts. I think that's a kind of a fair sentence to impose. Just yeah, agreeing with what the mitigating factors. Obviously a very community family oriented restaurant in that shopping center. Yeah, I love the fact that they are hire from the community, bring them in, and made it clear that yeah, this is while it was a mistake, it was there aren't going to be consequences for it. So I think that 2 days served is an appropriate sentence, and then the 10 days in abeyance, I think that makes sense as well. So I'm certainly in support of your
Well, I guess
recommendation there.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then. I'll make a motion to for 2 days served and 10 days in abeyance.
I
Member Haggerty
second
will
that
second the
motion.
motion.
Sorry.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay. Caitlin?
No problem. If you will now discuss which day you would like that to begin, I can create suspension posters tomorrow, or we can do them next week.
It has been my understanding that starting just the next Monday is generally what we have done, and but I am open to consideration if the licensee has something planned that day. If not, I would just say start Monday.
Any date's fine with me.
Is that something we need anything, a
Yes.
motion? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll make a motion to have that to begin that penalty on Monday, the
26th.
thank you, the 26th of May.
That is Memorial Day, if that makes a difference. It's a Boulder Memorial Day, if that makes a difference to anyone here.
I think the question would be for Ty.
It does not to me. No.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
I second that
the
motion.
Sorry.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you so much. And I will have those suspension posters prepared tomorrow, and we'll send an email to the licensee with instructions on pickup of those posters
Okay,
tomorrow.
great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And then if you'll just give me a second to get everyone where they're supposed to be, we'll move on to the next. Okay. Next we move on to agenda item 5, which is a show cause hearing concerning an alleged violation of whether the hotel restaurant type liquor license Wheeler Restaurant Properties LLC, DBA Peckish, 1320 College Avenue, Boulder, Colorado 80302 should be suspended or revoked. If you're here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand. I see Mr. Prophet is here and Mr. Wheeler, so I'll allow them to come in. And then there is a stipulation in this matter. And then I'll also let the board know while we're getting settled here that I did send again, there was issues with the upload between the packet and the website, and I sincerely apologize for all the extra work that we're doing here with these exhibits, but you did receive an exhibit this morning that had their mitigating factors in that, so that would be in your email, and that's also available to the public because it was this morning, so you should have that. Just an FYI. Okay, and then I see that Mr. Prophet and Mr. Wheeler are in and their cameras are on, so I will hand it over to Miss Keller.
Great, thank you, Ms. Kellogg. Like you said, there is a stipulation in this matter, so we would move for the board to accept that stipulation at this time.
I'll make a motion to accept the stipulation. Is there a
Member
second?
Haggerty seconds. Motion.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Burns, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay, stipulation accepted.
Okay. Thank you. There's nothing further from the city on this matter.
Thank you. And Mr. Prophet, are you counsel?
Yes, Chairperson Roberts. Good afternoon. Brian Prophet, registration number 31101 on behalf of the licensee, Wheeler Restaurant Properties LLC, doing business as Peckish. Also, though I cannot see his face, I believe that he's with us this afternoon. Mr. Byron Wheeler, the managing member of Peckish, is also with us.
Great. And are you comfortable with or do you waive the reading into
We'd
the
be happy to waive the advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I can swear, Mr. Prophet, I can swear whatever you're witnessing. It looks like, is it just Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Awesome. Mr. Wheeler, if you will say your name and spell your name for the record.
Byron Wheeler, BYRON WHEELER.
Thank you. And if you'll provide an address.
Is 2109 Wood Thrush Way. That's WOODTHRUSH in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll hand it back over to the chair.
Thanks, Caitlin. Okay, please speak on this matter.
I'm happy to jump in. Thank you, Chairperson Roberts, members of the authority. Again, Brian Prophet on behalf of the licensee here this afternoon. And a moment ago, I heard Ms. Kellogg mention that our mitigation packet was forwarded to the members of the authority just this morning. As I was doing my final preparation yesterday afternoon, I saw our cover letter had made it into the packet, but for whatever reason, our mitigation materials themselves did not. And so I certainly wanted to make sure that everyone has had an opportunity to see those and take a look. Obviously, the fact that we are here this afternoon is rather embarrassing to us and Mr. Wheeler personally, and I know that he wants to take a few moments once I'm done speaking to address the authority regarding just that. But to give the authority just a little bit of background, Peckish is a restaurant on the hill. It's been in operation for 6 years, but under Mr. Wheeler's ownership for about 3 years now. This is Peckish's first violation during that entire period of time. In fact, Peckish has passed other compliance operations during that period of time. At least one such letter was attached and made part of our mitigation materials. I would like to briefly go through those materials with you, but again, I intend to keep that brief. First and foremost, of course, all of the staff of Peckish is trained through a state-approved responsible alcohol beverage training program. And when I say all of the staff, I don't just mean front of house. Peckish requires every employee, not just those serving alcohol, but even those who are working in the kitchen, to go through this training, feeling it is an important aspect of the culture of Peckish. And in fact, Mr. Wheeler pays for that training on an annual basis, bringing a trainer in to train or retrain his entire staff. And I believe even some other restaurants have had employees join his staff at those training. He could speak to that a bit more if you have any questions regarding that. Peckish does have written policies, and we have included our policy manual for everyone to take a look at as part of those materials. One of the ways that Peckish tries to make certain that it is providing responsible service to people is through a mystery shopper experience. Once a quarter, they have someone come in and attempt to purchase an alcoholic beverage to make sure that the staff is following all of the policies that are in place. And in fact, twice during the period of time that Mr. Wheeler has owned Peckish, servers have not asked for identification of that mystery shopper, and they have been let go. It's important, and while drastic, it is important, we believe, that the remaining employees there understand the severity of not asking for identification, that they understand the importance of not asking for identification. So as part of his self-check at the restaurant, these mystery shopper experiences are utilized and in fact have resulted in the termination of people who are not following the policies and procedures of Peckish. Additionally, I understand that Mr. Wheeler, who of course, he's a small business owner, he can't be there every hour of every day, but he's able to look through the camera system and be able to see things that are going on, particularly in the evening or times that he's not there. Keeping an eye on his staff and making sure people are checking for ID and things such as that. So while he may not be a mystery shopper himself, certainly he is kind of watching from the sky, so to speak, at times. And I believe his staff is aware of that. Now, again, another thing in the mitigation materials that you'll see has to do with Peckish's nonprofit and community involvement aspect. Peckish is a member of the Hills Merchant Association and quite active in that organization. Additionally, Peckish makes the restaurant available to certain nonprofits for fundraising opportunities, and there are several of those that were listed in our cover letter and discussed. And certainly, of course, if you have additional questions of Mr. Wheeler, he can touch on that. The thing I want to discuss, however, mostly has to do with Peckish's efforts to stay on top of its service, particularly following the recent closure by this board, I might add, of, I guess you might call it a competitor restaurant bar on the Hill. When Chicken on the Hill was closed recently and its liquor license summarily suspended, and I think perhaps even revoked by this authority, Mr. Wheeler and his management staff became acutely aware that their staff needed to be ready for additional crowds, younger crowds potentially, and they held all staff meetings on March 17th and again on April 1st to discuss with their staff remaining vigilant and what they should be aware of, because there are going to be a lot of young, let's say, patrons who could no longer go to Chicken on the Hill who might be trying to get into their restaurant. And so we have, as part of the mitigation materials, and I would hope that you'd have an opportunity to review those, minutes or an agenda of those meetings. I think importantly, particularly on April 1st, a decision was also made to institute an ID scanner at Peckish. That scanner was purchased, and in fact, you see an invoice for it on April 1st. But unfortunately, this particular compliance check occurred on April 4th, which was the actual day that that scanner arrived. It was not placed into use on that day. It needed a little bit of training with staff. It was not placed into use until the following day. But I think it's important for this authority to understand that at every opportunity, Mr. Wheeler is looking for ways to make his restaurant better, safer, and to make certain that something like we're discussing here wouldn't happen, although unfortunately it did, and will not happen again moving forward. And so briefly, I also want to discuss this particular incident. In this situation, the bartender was immediately fired following this failed sting operation. She was let go. As I mentioned, the very next day, the scanner that had been previously ordered arrived sometime during the day on the 4th, was put into operation on the 5th. But even without that scanner, and you may have noticed this in our letter, Peckish has a robust ability to review identification and confiscate IDs. And Mr. Wheeler estimates they've confiscated over 300 IDs in the 3 years that he has owned this location. Now, previously, at times they've lined their bar with these confiscated IDs in an effort to frighten what might be underage students from even trying to pass off false identification, fraudulent identification. Now, Mr. Wheeler has since learned that he's supposed to be turning these over to the Boulder Police Department and has begun doing so. He estimates he turned over over 50 such IDs just in this past semester to the Boulder Police Department. All of this is to say that Mr. Wheeler and his staff are acutely aware of underage students' attempts to purchase alcohol and their obligation to check everyone's ID to make sure these students don't get in and not to serve them, which makes this afternoon particularly difficult for Mr. Wheeler, because in the 3 years, again, that he's operated Peckish, they haven't had an issue. And so the fact that we are here this afternoon, Mr. Wheeler will acknowledge, means that there was a failure that he is intent on making certain doesn't happen again. But with that said, I think I've probably done enough talking. I know Mr. Wheeler would like to take a moment and address the authority himself directly. And so I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Wheeler at this time if there are any questions regarding the mitigation or other issues with related to policies, procedures, and operation at Peckish. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I'll just speak real briefly and then I'll open up to questions from the board. Thank you for your time. This is embarrassing and this is not up to our standard. And this will be the first and last time that I'm on one of these meetings with you virtually. In addition to what Brian had to say, I just wanted to tell the board I am the parent of a 20-year-old CU student. Legal, responsible alcohol consumption is important to me personally as well as professionally. And I do believe that the Hill restaurants and the Hill businesses have unique and special challenges. And we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We have to be perfect all of the time. And in this instance, we weren't, and that's not acceptable to me. And it's an embarrassment. And we're here to answer any questions that you have, so that you guys feel comfortable that we are moving forward in a safe and responsible manner.
Great. Thank you so much for all of that information. Are there any questions from the board? I have a couple comments and questions. I will say we did receive the mitigating packet. I want you to know that. So we were able to read through it. I do appreciate all of the information in there. But something that I noticed in your policy was you mentioned in your, let's see, in your meeting notes, you provided further instruction, focus on the preventage of underage consumption of alcohol, but you really highlighted it by what a sting looks like instead of really highlighting the laws. Your employees shouldn't have to know what a compliance check is going to look like. So that's a comment on that, maybe rephrasing that verbiage to indicate that we're not trying to get away with something. It still sounds like, hey, you could possibly get away with it if you look for these things. So that's one comment. And then the second comment, I was a little confused on, and maybe you can explain to me your 2 minimum drink policy when a person, it says, if a person is going upstairs for a soda, they either have to produce an ID or that says they're 21, or they have to immediately return downstairs after filling their drink. And I'm wondering who is watching that to make sure. That sounds like a lot on your workers. And so I was just wondering.
Sure. Yeah, I can answer those. First, I'd say like these are, we sent you just our internal communications for the purpose of saying, hey, like this is on our radar and this is something that we're talking about in all staff. And you saw other systems and procedures and other dialogue that wasn't directly related to the safe and responsible service of alcohol. But I'd love to answer those questions for you because they are adjacently related to what we're talking about here today. Yeah, we focus on serving alcohol safely, responsibly, and legally to people at all times. Almost 100% of my staff is college age students. And I felt that, and they were also customers of other Hill restaurants that had closed in the last year. And friends of people impacted by those closures. I felt that just as their manager, I felt that it was something that touches close to home to those employees to for them to realize, no, this is real. Businesses and jobs are on the line if we don't do our jobs properly. And I just felt that with my staff that I had, it was appropriate to say, hey, part of serving alcohol in the state of Colorado is compliance checks, and these compliance checks are happening, and this is the impact that it's having on jobs and businesses if we're not doing our jobs properly. So that's your answer to your first comment. The answer to your second comment about the 2-drink minimum, that's
and Byron, I don't mean to interrupt you, but several of the members of the authority probably have not been in your restaurant, so you might kind of give them a layout of the restaurant and its size. I think those are particularly important in answering this question.
Sure, thank you. So the second point about the 2-drink minimum, that's more along the lines of our occupancy. So while we've never been in front of this board before, because we've complied at every step and turn, we have had multiple dialogue points with police officers about, hey, what are you doing to manage your occupancy? Particularly because our occupancy is only 49 people. And particularly after the competitive closure 3 doors down, we were immediately seeing lines almost a block long trying to get into the restaurant. So we implemented what you saw there was the notes of, hey, on our peak nights, we're going to, we have to make sure that we're never over 49 people inside the restaurant. But over the last several years, we've seen 10, 12, 14 customers come in just to hang out with their friends and not spend any money. So what we did to make sure that we can stay at that 49-person occupancy, as well as making money and continue to operate a business, was to make sure that if you're coming upstairs where the bar is, the kitchen is downstairs. There's seating downstairs. Anybody who's 21, who's under the age of 21, is welcome to come in the restaurant and order food and sit down in a dining room. But if you're going to go up where the alcohol is, after 9 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, you're going to be 21 or over. And our floor manager, bar manager, or bouncer is there in the stairwells checking IDs. And if you're going to go up there, you're going to spend $10. You're going to have a 2-drink minimum. By the way, those if you saw those notes, that guest is not required to drink those 2 drinks that night. Like, we just give them a coupon for 2 drinks.
Yeah, no, I think I actually thought that was a very creative way. I picked up on what you were kind of going through when I was like, I think it's a very creative way. I understand the occupancy issues, and I really appreciate you surfacing and acknowledging that as well. What I was confused about is it says that if someone under the age of 21 wants a soda and they go upstairs to get it, then they have to immediately come back down. And I'm wondering who's watching to make sure that those underage people getting sodas are coming immediately back down.
Yeah, so that's our bouncer and floor manager that's located at the top of the stairwell, which is 3 feet away from the soda machine.
Okay.
I'll also say that's just not an incident that we've encountered.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Member Haggerty, I have a quick question for Mr. Wheeler. In the report, it mentioned that the server who served the underage patrons might have been a little intoxicated. So I'm wondering if you could maybe talk about, what steps are you taking to ensure that, servers, bartenders, are maybe not, serving other customers while they're intoxicated, or at least, they're impaired, that might, impair their ability to kind of check an ID in a proper way.
Absolutely. I don't want to like that information was news to me when I saw it on the report. I don't want to doubt its validity. But that came as a surprise to me, and the employee was already terminated by the time that I had saw that report, and I was not able to conduct a full investigation on that. But I will tell you that it is our policy that our bartenders and our alcohol service related staff is not consuming alcohol until after their shift. And as my attorney referenced in his opening testimony, we have uncovered internal violations through our own internal compliance checks, and that is one of the compliance checks that we have noticed before and immediately terminated when we saw that. This is a hard enough job for these guys on that block, and we need to be doing it sober and not under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
A question for me. I'm Member Crane. You obviously, this is directed to Mr. Wheeler. You obviously have a challenge, and I think the record shows that you are cognizant of it and try and address it. How does your establishment compare in size and volume of consumers to other ones on the Hill? Where would you fit in with the available options for students and other patrons?
So from an occupancy standpoint, my occupancy of 49 is the lowest occupancy of the liquor licensed establishments on the Hill. And I do believe that I have the largest opportunity and challenge to remain at my legal occupancy versus some of my direct competitors. We are taking immediate actions to alleviate that concern, as we're looking at other locations on the Hill that that may have other higher occupancy. We've also been looking at taking over more real estate in my current building that could alleviate us from some of those occupancy challenges.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, any final closing statements before we deliberate?
Usually I might, Chairperson Roberts, but given we've already been going a little bit this afternoon, and I know there are a number of other people on the agenda, we would rest and allow you to consider our mitigation materials. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we will now close for deliberation. Is there any discussion around this or any motions?
Member Haggerty, I thought the mitigating factors were pretty impressive. So I commend Mr. Wheeler and um, for having that in order. I think it's great that a scanner has been introduced. Proactively. That's timing was unfortunate, obviously, but glad to see that is been staff has been trained and that's in use now. I do think I did see on there, kind of showing off those fake IDs, I think are, why they are a great deterrent. I do, as you mentioned, Mr. Wheeler, you kind of learned that, the police department likes those turned over right away. To get those off the street. And also, prevents any opportunities for some hands to get up there and grab any. But I do commend you for, the work you guys have done to, obfuscate those. So well done on kudos to that. And then lastly, Ms. Ware, I think we're all pretty, aware of the importance of of businesses, particularly ones like yours, and the role they have on the Hill, being a good steward, a good community member. And I think, this being your first offense and, the 3 years that you've been owner of the business speaks a lot. And it sounds like you're aware of this. Yeah.
Can you please direct all your comments towards the board as we're now in deliberation?
Yeah. So, sorry. So I don't know. It's my thought that we could go kind of below the baseline here because I think there's some things that have been done that have impressed me, and I think they realize that a mistake was made and they really can't make another one. And then they have a tough job being on the Hill. And it's I think they realize it's important that mistake number 2 does not happen. So I'm leaning towards maybe still consequences in play here, but maybe a little bit lesser than what the recommended level is.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, unfortunately, I don't think the scanner would have helped in this case. It sounded like maybe there was just a bad seed there. But I really do appreciate the policies even before this violation and the understanding of the placement and location of this establishment on the Hill. Also recognizing they're one of the smallest establishments, and that must be really difficult, especially since they also have to keep in mind occupancy violations. That was great to see. Member Crane, were you saying something?
I mean, I agree completely with what you said and what Member Haggerty said. My I think there's a culture and a discipline that's been demonstrated here, which is really important. yes, there are going to be problems, and I commend our police officers and our department's efforts to enforce the rules as a way of deterrence. And so you've got a balance there. But I'm of the same mind that we want to encourage compliance, and there's a clear effort here to comply, and yet at the same time, something is appropriate, not necessarily the standard guideline.
Okay.
I guess from my point of view, there's the business factor, and I know it's consequential for something to be imposed, and we need to take that into account. And at the same time, I think the effort to establish a culture and a discipline needs to be recognized and supported. I think that's a message to the rest of the employees, because they're going to know about this for sure. Thank you.
Is there any more comments or a motion? I would make a motion to go with 2 days served and 10 in abeyance. Any discussion, or is there a second?
For Crane, I'd second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay. Thanks, Caitlin. I see you there.
And then if you'll, I'm sorry, I will have one question. Did you say 2 days served, 10 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then if you will make a motion on the days to begin.
Oh, sure. I would,
Chairperson Roberts, if I may.
yes.
Thank you.
Oh.
We would ask, with Memorial Day upcoming, we would ask if we may serve those 2 days beginning Sunday, June 1st and Monday, June 2nd. That would include a weekend day, as I think it is the policy of this authority. And so the 1st and the 2nd of June.
I'm not familiar with that policy needing to be on a weekend, but if those are the days that I certainly, we don't want to affect a business tremendously. That's not what we're here for. So the 1st and 2nd. Yes, Roberto.
I haven't done the math. Is that within the 10 days?
Oh, well,
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see. The 10th day is actually the 31st. So it's just outside.
Is do you have another date that you would prefer?
Can we do Wednesday and Thursday, the 28th and 29th of May?
I would be fine with those days, and I would make a motion to have that held on the 28th and 29th of May. Is there a second?
Member Crane, I'll second that.
Okay, great. Then all those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Aye.
Okay, that'll be fine. Motion passes.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Wheeler, I will have a poster. I'll prepare the poster for that tomorrow as well, since I'm doing the other suspension poster. So just keep an eye out on your email, and I'll send it to Mr. Profit as well.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Thank you
Thank
and
you
good luck.
all. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
You're good. Just give me 1 second while I get everyone where they're supposed to be. And we will move on to the next. Okay, next, we have agenda item 6, which is a show cause hearing concerning an alleged violation and whether the hotel restaurant type liquor license El Taco Imperial Del Texcala LLC, DBA El Taco Imperial Del Texcala, 2850 Iris Avenue, Suite H, Boulder, Colorado, 80301 should be suspended or revoked. If you're here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. I'm not seeing any hands raised, and I don't believe anyone is here for this, but I'll just call one more time. If you are here to speak on this matter, agenda item 6, show cause for El Taco Imperial de Texcala, please go ahead and raise your hand. I'm not seeing anybody, and Roberto has his camera on, so I'll let him talk.
Hi, everyone. So, you are considered a quasi-judicial board in that notice and an opportunity to be heard must be provided to every single applicant, licensee, whoever it is that's going to appear before the board. Because they are not present, what I would like to do is give the prosecution an opportunity to explain to you what methods were attempted or accomplished to provide the notice and an opportunity to be heard. Then I will turn it over to staff because I think that they also might have some information, and then I'll give you 2 options on how to proceed.
All right, thank you. So the efforts that were made to contact El Taco Imperial by our office were first 2 calls that were made to them when I first heard about this case, which was at the end of April. I was unable to reach anyone on those calls. I was sent to I was placed on hold, and it was placed on hold in perpetuity, it seemed like. So I hung up, and then our paralegal Nicole Keller sent 3 letters to El Taco Imperial. One with a letter. These packets included a letter from me explaining who I was and asking to be contacted, as well as that show cause packet that included the affidavit. Those packets were sent first to the address of the business, second to the address of the office listed on the Secretary of State's website, and finally to the street address of the registered agent, also obtained from the Secretary of State's website. Those were sent out on April 24th by our paralegal. I have not heard anything from the business either by phone or email. Oh, and one last thing, I'm sorry, those were sent via certified mail.
And then just from a city licensing perspective, I don't believe that we heard anything from the applicant until today. And there was one voicemail at 4:13 to Sarah that the applicant had an emergency and missed the 3 o'clock call. And then they also sent an email at 4:17 p.m. that said that they had an emergency, and if there was a way, they were asking if there was a way to reschedule, and then left their phone number. So that's the only contact I believe that we've had from this applicant.
Thank you for that. So, step 1 is for the board to decide whether they believe that notice and an opportunity to be heard has been complied with. If you can either discuss that and then take a vote, and then and then we can proceed once that happens.
Okay, any discussion? Seems to me that the city has sent out sufficient notices.
Yeah, Member Haggerty, I'm certainly with you there. I feel like this is really a relatively new licensee holder. Does that ring a bell, Chair Roberts? And I think there
Been
was
here
like,
on the board a couple of years.
I know.
It's hard.
And I think during the license process, there was certainly like a, a language barrier at play. Um, and I feel like, whether phone calls and mail, might, I don't know. I just want to be business friendly here. Feel like, is there an opportunity to like visit the establishment to provide them with this information? As opposed to, I don't know. I feel like if there's a language barrier that might, be a pretty substantial obstacle. Not that it excuses it, but I feel like that might be at play here. Um, so I don't know. I feel like certainly good faith attempts were made by the city, but you know, yeah, tough.
Well, I appreciate that point of view for sure. But I always keep in mind that we are trusting these people with a license, a liquor license, and that we didn't feel at the time that the language barrier was going to get in the way of them having a license. So I do appreciate those comments. I still feel that the city gave plenty of notice. And I would make a motion to to I, I don't know I don't know how to phrase it, Roberto.
Sure. Thank you. It would be a motion to find that proper notice was provided to the licensee. And if you all find that it was, then we can talk about some options.
I'd make a motion to find that the licensee was given proper notification of today's hearing.
I second that motion, Member Barnes.
All those in favor, say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
This is just a notice question. I say aye.
And Member Haggerty, aye.
All right, thank you for that, members of the authority. So you have two options. Option number one is you can find that their claimed emergency is not sufficient, that they were provided ample notice, and you can proceed on the merits. So that is to say that the prosecution would have to prove to you the allegations. That's one option. Option number two is simply kind of like you're doing with one of the other licensees, and that is push it to next month to deal with the issue. And then both the prosecution and staff can provide notice once again to the licensee as to that next hearing. Now, with that said, I do recommend, because there is prosecutorial discretion in these cases, that you at least inquire with the prosecution to see what she wants to do.
Go ahead, Ms. Keller.
Thank you. The city's position here is, as I think, to give the owner of this business the benefit of the doubt that there was actually an emergency in this case. This is the first I've heard of this licensee, so I am not aware of any other previous violations they've had. So the city would not object to a continuance. If this happens again at the next hearing, we would then be objecting.
Thank you.
Aye. All right. Member Crane, obviously. The picture that I get here is more likely than not of someone who is having a lot of challenges as well. A little different kind than the prior case, but I have no doubt that there was a good faith and effective effort by our police officers in the undercover effort. So I would make no negative conclusions on that. But I know where this place is located, and I know a little bit about kind of just from an external point of view what their challenges look like. They've got construction going on all around them. And this is a new licensee. There's a language issue there. So before we got to the merits, I'd be in favor of giving them another shot. And I have no idea about the emergency. That is always hard to determine, but those are other factors as well. I think they're on the edge as a business would be part of what I would be saying. She described herself in the materials as being the owner, and she was waiting on the table and she was doing this and doing that. I'd like to see a little bit more in terms of opportunity for them to contribute to this proceeding before we came to some conclusions. I don't think the city's at risk if we were to do that. Thank you.
Excuse me, I agree that we give them one more month until next month's meeting and see what happens. That's what I'd recommend. Hopefully it wasn't a bad emergency, but I would think that we try to give them one more month, and then that would be a fair situation.
Is there a motion? Would somebody?
So how do I say it?
I would like to make a
okay,
motion for
okay.
continuance.
I would like to make a motion for continuance, please.
Is there a second?
Member Crane, I second that.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay, great. We will hopefully see them next month.
Thank you so much. Next was agenda item 7, which was the renewal hearing for natural grocers. You all made a motion to continue that at the beginning of the meeting. So I will go ahead and skip to agenda item 8, which is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on March 27th, 2025 from Twisted Pine Brewing Company, DBA Timberline Brewing, 3201 Walnut Street, Unit A, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. Robert Bale, 42% owner and proposed registered manager, William Marshall, 53% owner, and John Lund, owner and premises 5% owner with the premises business mailing address for a new brewpub type liquor license. If you're here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand and I will let you in. And then while I'm getting everyone settled, this application was also a victim to our PDF problem. So you all do have an email, and it will be uploaded publicly at the end of the meeting. That includes the petitioning materials. And I apologize that that was not included, but the petitioning materials are in an email to you. And then I believe Mr. Harden is counsel.
That's correct.
Thank you. And I will just go ahead and, Chair, if it's okay, swear everyone in first and then you can proceed. Awesome. Mr. Harden, if you'll just record your appearance and then let me know who you would like sworn in today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sam Harden, attorney on behalf of applicant, Colorado registration number 58758. We will be calling Ms. Erin McCullough to testify on behalf of Oedipus Petitioning, as well as Mr. Bob Bale to testify on behalf of applicant.
Okay, awesome. Erin, if you'll turn your camera on possibly, and then Bob, if you'll also, great. I'll start with you, Erin, if you will go ahead and say your name and spell your name for the record.
Yes, Erin McCullough, ERIN, last name MCCULLOUGH.
And provide an address.
17334 East Twinberry Street, Parker, Colorado, 80134.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
Yes, I do.
And did you handle the public petitioning?
Yes.
Okay, or posting, excuse me. Did you handle the public posting?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll ask that question. And Mr. Bale, if you will go ahead and say your name and spell your name for the record and give an address. And you're muted, sir.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay. My name is Robert Bale. Robert, Robert, Bale, Baile. My address is 4849 Kellogg Circle, Boulder, Colorado, 80303.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
I do.
And do you swear or affirm that the premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
I do.
Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to the chair.
Thanks, Caitlin. Go ahead and please tell us why you are applying for this change in license.
Chairperson Roberts, if I may,
Yeah.
I think it may be most efficient if we first call Ms. McCullough as a witness, and then I have a brief presentation prepared for Mr. Bale as well to better inform the BLA regarding his business and its operations.
That'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to first call Ms. Erin McCullough with Oedipus petitioning.
All right, thank you, Sam. So I will just go ahead and say what I'll say, and we can go from there. So Oedipus petitioning was engaged to perform a petition survey of the designated area to determine the needs and desires for the application of Timberland Brewing LLC doing business as Twisted Pine Brewing Company. Payment for our services was received upfront, and Twisted Pine Brewing Company was informed that we cannot guarantee results. The designated area consisted of businesses and residences south of Valmont Road, north of Arapahoe Avenue, east of Folsom Street, and west of 55th Street. The area consisted of mostly businesses with a small neighborhood and a small apartment complex that was accessible. To try to maximize residential signatures, petitioning was conducted on weekdays and weekends, and multiple attempts were made at these areas. Of the accessible business and residential dwellings, a wide-ranging sample of the designated area was surveyed for this petition over 4 days of surveying on May 7th, 9th, 10th, and 12th, 2025. Business owners, managers, and residents were informed that Twisted Pine Brewing Company was applying for a new brew pub type liquor license. They were asked if they were over the age of 21 and if they would be willing to provide their opinion on the license's issuance as fully detailed on the petition forms. Out of the 316 potential contacts that were surveyed, 122 business owners, managers, and residents were not available or not at home. Of the remaining businesses and residences surveyed, we're able to make contact with 194 people. Of that number, 25 preferred not to participate, 1 was neutral to the outcome, and 40 were not qualified to sign. Of the remaining participants, 126 signatures were in favor, which includes 104 businesses and 22 residents. 1 business was in opposition, stating drunk people might affect peace. And 1 signature was deleted as the business and person's name were illegible. So 99.21% of people who participated were in favor of issuance, and 0.79% of those who participated were in opposition. But as far as the needs and desires signatures, 100% were in favor. So overall, the general feedback received was extremely positive, as residents and businesses are excited for this new opportunity.
Ms. McCullough, I know that there was a minor mix-up on some of the petitioning paperwork in which the applicant entity name as well as their trade name were switched. And I'd just like to ask you, do you believe that those who were contacted were aware of the entity under consideration and knew who they were being asked about here?
Yes, I don't think that I had a single problem with that, as the business has been around for many years, and pretty much a lot of the people knew exactly what the business was, regardless of that typo.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Attorney Harden, if you want to proceed.
Thank you very much. And in order for efficiency, I know Ms. McCullough has things going on this evening as well. I'd ask that if there are no further questions for her, that she be excused if she would like to leave the hearing as well.
Absolutely. Were there any questions from the board? Okay, have a great evening.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
I would next like to call Mr. Bob Bale to testify on behalf of the applicant Twisted Pine.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board for your time. Appreciate it very, very much. Twisted Pine has been in business since 1995. I've owned it since 1997. We were located over on Valmont, only about 5 blocks almost directly to the north of here for the first few years of our existence, and moved into our current location in 2002. We were very fortunate in this location in that, number one, we moved into a place that was already a brewery. For those of you who've been in Boulder for a long time, this is the former Oasis Brewing Company, and this was their manufacturing facility. So we moved into here in 2002, and when we moved in here, it was a pretty desolate neighborhood. Even the Peloton wasn't there. So since we've moved into this location, oh geez, almost 1,300 residential units have popped up within walking distance. So we've been very fortunate that way. So what we're trying to do now is kind of enhance our business and also to give these local residents a place to go within walking distance. It's really been great since, especially 32nd Street now has continued from Walnut all the way to Valmont. So all of the Pearl Street, the Reveille, those buildings now are within just an easy commute, an easy walk to our building. So with that said, we're trying to enhance our business that way and also give our neighbors a place to go. And that's the main purpose for our petition for getting a brew pub license. We've been a manufacturer, as I said, for 30 years now, and just looking to enhance our business opportunity.
And Mr. Bale, can you please shine a little bit more light on your current operations? You touched on a bit just now for Twisted Pine and your plans if this change of class to a brew pub were to be granted, what opportunities that brings you as well as the community that you serve?
Well, obviously, the number one, it's going to enhance our revenue opportunities. As many people know, COVID was very, very difficult on restaurants, and it was no different for us. It's been tough. It's been a struggle, and we've managed to eke by. So we feel that, especially by being able to enhance our beverage selection, that we're going to be able to enhance revenue somewhat. Also, the fact, as I've stated already, just we really, really try to cater to the local community. We solicit their business. We work pretty hard with the local residences. We give them some discounts, and just being able to give them a place is pretty important to us.
And Mr. Bale, you mentioned that you've been open and operating for several years now. Would anything in regards to the setup of the building, any modification of premises would occur if this change of class were to be granted, or would it remain consistent with your current operations?
Absolutely no changes. No changes in hours, no changes in seating. There wouldn't be any changes. The only changes that would be to be able to enhance our beverage selection.
And for our knowledge,
I'm sorry about that. If I may continue, Sam, we don't intend. We have an hour just for some edification. We only operate from 3 to 9 Monday through Thursday, and then we're open 12 to 9. So we close fairly early during the weekends. We don't offer live music. We do have small entertainment, bingo, and trivia on different nights. But other than that, no operational changes or no enhancements to the facility at all.
And as far as some of your operations, your ordering processes, things of that nature go, can you testify as to how patrons order alcohol, kind of how that process occurs at your establishment and would occur if this change of class would be granted?
Sure, and again, it will change. We have a service model that we for those of you in Boulder, we like to call the dark horse model. All of our patrons are required to order at our bar. We do not have bar seating. So it's also similar to what Mountain Sun does. We don't have bar seating, so you order at the bar where your ID is checked at that point. You also order food at that point, and then you're seated. It's self-serve seating, and after that, you get a buzzer with your food, and when your food is prepared or your food is ready, we have a food station where you can come and pick it up. And again, that won't change either.
And can you discuss some of the training that your staff receives as it relates to the service of alcohol?
Absolutely. All of our employees are required to be tips trained within 30 days of acceptance of employment. We also have an employee handbook and I'd be glad to share that with anybody. Our passages on alcohol service run 7, 8, 9, 10 paragraphs, including everything from responsibility of alcohol service to requirements for tips training, um, how to recognize different levels of intoxication. Not only that, but we have regular, probably quarterly at the furthest meetings, and we do go over any alcohol policies. And this is one of my first BLA meetings that I've attended, and I'm almost tempted to actually have my staff start to watch these so they can see what actually does happen.
And you mentioned your staff. Can you touch on typically how many staff you have in the establishment and how they, keep an eye on operations and again ensure that those safe alcohol operations?
We're a fairly small operation. We only have 12 employees, of which 8 serve alcohol. And again, they're all tips trained. One of the things and they're all spoken to pretty regularly about alcohol consumption. What I like to tell people here is that the number one ways to get fired here is consuming alcohol while you're working. We take it very, very seriously. How we operate the business. We've been doing it now for a long time, and we've been very fortunate. Our demographic is a little bit different from some of your previous people that you had today. We're mostly, I'd say our demographic, although it's probably 25 to 85, skews much further to the higher end. So we don't have some of the challenges, plus the hours that we have, I think really help a lot.
And as far as your storage goes, I know you have a cold storage and your bonded area for some of your manufacturing. Can you touch on how you ensure that that area remains free from patrons and discuss who has access to that area?
Sure. Our cold storage bonded area is located in the brewery itself, which is completely inaccessible to patrons. We'll be doing the same thing with any additional alcohol. We plan to have a locked cabinet that managers on duty will have access to.
And in your time holding the manufacturing wholesale sales room licenses that Twisted Pine currently holds, have you had any violations, issues in that time?
Yes, we have. We've had one, my goodness, 12, 15 years ago was one that we had. We had a server who said, just like everyone else, it was a busy, busy night and not paying attention. But that's the only one we've had.
And were steps taken following, if you can recall from back then, that to fix the issues, ensure that as it hasn't happened again, that it doesn't happen again and will not moving forward?
Sure, 100%. The employee was dismissed, although I did appreciate the Peckish's comment about actually retaining, or one of the folks about retaining that employee because they certainly learned a lesson. But in our instance, the employee was terminated. We immediately held team meetings and had a chance to discuss with everybody and talk about the importance of proper service.
And with those conversations moving forward, will you make your staff aware that violations can result in criminal penalties for them individually, as well as the issues for the business?
They're already aware of that. And now even more so, serving things other than beer, bring up the responsibility a little bit higher. So we've already implemented some of those measures, and we're going to continue to do so.
Mr. Bale, as you considered the change of class here, can you touch on why you believe that the Boulder community desires this change and would benefit from the change of class and the options that it would give you?
Sure. Again, I think it would definitely enhance our customer base. We get right now, as a beer manufacturer, for the board who are fairly new, as a beer manufacturer, we're only allowed to sell the beer that is made on premise with a brew pub license that will allow us to also serve wine and, if we wanted to, cocktails. We're initially going to focus on just being able to serve wine because we get quite a few customers who would like to bring other family members in, but they're not beer drinkers. So it would absolutely allow us to enhance that experience for people.
And have you received positive feedback about this change of class and potential, again, expanded offerings from those in the community?
100%. Yes, we've gotten nothing but we've posted our notice now for a couple of weeks, and we're getting nothing but positive feedback to it.
So, Mr. Bale, do you believe that if this change of class to a brew pub is granted, that it would help improve the economy and welfare of the neighborhood and the Boulder community as a whole?
It would. Yes, it would. And again, I think, though, the most important part, it would give, especially the local residents, somewhere to walk to, and be able to enjoy stuff without getting in a car.
Mr. Bale, I have no further questions. Is there anything that you'd like to take this opportunity to testify to the BLA?
Other than just the things that I've said, I think that I'm very proud of what Twisted Pine has become, what it's been. We've been very community oriented. We've hosted quite a few nonprofits. Before, it's been hard since, but before COVID, we would do things like Pints for a Purpose, where we donated a monthly amount each month up from each pint to local charities. We've hosted a lot of local civic entities. We've had police departments have had functions here. The fire departments had functions here. The cities had functions here. So we're very proud of that fact that we are very community oriented, and we plan to continue that.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Bale. I have no further questions. So at this point, I would turn it back over to the authority if they have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions from the board? I'm not seeing any. Oh, go ahead, Member Crane.
Well, congratulations on your business established for the period of time that you've had it. Sounds great. And the housing, number of apartments and condominiums and so on that have grown up in your business area has been amazing. So I think it's a real safety issue that people can walk to your facility. There's nothing quite like it in the area. People can cross frontage road and go down to some of the other establishments off of 47th and so on. But where you are, that's a great location. My one question is how many of your employees are Boulder residents? Could you give us a sense of that? I'm curious about it.
I can't speak accurately, but I know a minimum of one half. These are kids, and it's very hard to live in Boulder, obviously, unless you're 5, 6, 7 to a house these days, which is a whole other can of worms. But I'd say at least half are Boulder residents.
Yeah, good. I mean, I want to support that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Member Crane. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, any final closings before we begin deliberation?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right, at this time, we will close for deliberation. Any discussion or motions around this? I would say that I think this is a great enhancement for Twisted Pine. I think this is a great establishment. I think they provide needs in that area of the community that just aren't there. So I would be in favor of this enhancement to their business.
I totally agree with you, Chairman Roberts. I think it's nothing but a win-win situation for establishment and also the community around it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, with that said, I'll make a motion to approve the new license for Twisted Pine.
And I second the motion. Member Barnes?
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye. Sorry.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Okay. You have been approved. Congratulations. And I would really like to see you bring back your calzones. Just gonna throw that in there.
We have the best chicken wings and pizza in town. Hopefully that'll do for now.
You do, but I did like you had those like calzones and strombolis, right?
Run it up the flagpole.
Okay. Terrific.
Thank you, board. I appreciate it very much.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, give me a second. Okay. Next we have agenda item 9, which is matters from Deputy City Attorney. Roberto, do you have anything?
Hi, everyone. I have nothing.
Perfect. We will move on to agenda item 10, matters from licensing clerk. We have a new agenda item on here that will, excuse me, stay on the agenda for the foreseeable future, and that is a legislative update. We thought we had a legislative update for you, but it was killed recently, so there's nothing. And I don't think Elisa wants to say anything else about that, but she'll let us know if she does. And we have 2 boundary settings. Let me get the maps up here for you. The first one is for Kura Sushi USA Inc. DBA Kura Revolving Sushi Bar, 1855 29th Street, number 1152, Boulder, Colorado 80302. That is for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license. I took the suggested boundaries from BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. And that is at 1690 28th Street. And I will share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. And actually, the suggested boundaries for both of these boundary settings today is the same. So it's going to be, that is where I'm taking the suggested boundaries for. That's where Kura Sushi is. And the suggested boundaries I have are Bluff Street extended on the north, Colorado Avenue on the south, Foothills Parkway on the east, 20th Street on the west. As always, let me know if it's helpful to zoom out, zoom in, whatever works.
I'd make a motion to approve those boundaries.
This is Member Crane, I second.
All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Barnes, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Great. Thanks,
you.
Caitlin, for letting us know about the previous ones.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And that's no problem. And then I have one more for you. And again, the suggested boundaries are going to be right here. And I'll show you where this new one is. So our other one is going to be right next to where our last one was. And that is, and I'm sorry, there was a slight typo on the agenda, but the correct business name is LTF Club Operations Company Inc. DBA Lifetime, 1821 30th Street, Boulder, Colorado 80301. And this is for an entertainment type liquor license, not a hotel restaurant. So I apologize. But the suggested boundaries are going to be the same. And that is Bluff Street extended on the north, Colorado Avenue on the south, Foothills Parkway on the east, and 20th Street on the west.
It's going to be an event license?
It's an entertainment type liquor license. It is a gym type of situation, I believe.
Right, it's I'm guessing it's Lifetime Fitness.
It is,
It's
yeah.
taking over Colorado Athletic Club. So they want to be able to serve in their gym.
Let me get you some details. Kristen Teague took this one, so I haven't looked at it, but I can look at it really fast and give you the description. 1 second.
While she's looking for the rest of the board, what I was trying to understand is that's a huge establishment and they can have a lot of occupancy. So I was trying to understand if we needed to have more outreach for something like this, or if we feel that I mean, I think Foothills is pretty far, but do we feel like do we feel like it should be bigger for a bigger space? That's all.
I think the boundaries that Caitlin provided are appropriate.
Okay.
And let's see. So, on their application, which you'll see next month when you see when they go to application hearing, the nature of the proposed establishment and the target market is a full service athletic club with food and beverage service. The target market includes individuals and families. In addition to athletic facilities, they offer group activities, including club fitness and outdoor films and documentaries with keynote speakers. And then they'll have different clubs like hiking, running, cycling, uphill skiing. They might have live music once or twice a week outdoors during summer months, 1 or 2 times a month indoors year round, quarterly fitness competitions, book club, social events with trivia and bingo. And they have an outdoor pool and then a food and beverage service in the pool area. If that's helpful.
Does that change anything for you, Member Haggerty?
No, I think it's still pretty good.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
Yep. So I'll make a motion to accept the boundaries. Do I have to repeat them? For
Bluff Street extended on the north, Colorado Avenue on the south, Foothills Parkway on the east, 20th Street on the west.
there you go.
I second the motion, Member Burns.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Burns, aye.
Member Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Elisa real quick because she has an update on an expected administrative processing of the liquor license transfer. There's 2 on your agenda, and she has an update on DeGabi.
Thanks, Caitlin. So I just wanted to give you an update that some information has come to light regarding DeGabi, and we are not going to be able to process it administratively, and we'll bring that information to you next month at the meeting. In the meantime, they have been issued a temporary liquor license, and they are currently serving liquor. We just have some information we think that the BLA should consider and make a decision on rather than have staff do it.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Elisa. All right, and then the only other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, I'm so sorry it's not on the agenda, but next month I would like to have a discussion about any items that you all would like to see on the retreat agenda. So if there's something specific that you guys want to discuss at the retreat, I'm going to put an agenda item on next month's agenda so that we can discuss those, and then you can kind of come to a determination of what items or what topics you would like to discuss. Typically at the retreat, there's potentially like some training from city attorney's office. We do that sometimes. Oftentimes Officer Rec will have like a presentation or more information for you, or you guys can have discussions with her about things. It's been seeing where there's like discussions with the attorneys about certain things. If you want to make changes to the rules of procedure, the BLA rules of procedure, that's the time that we usually discuss that. So those kinds of things are usually what we talk about. And any discussion items that you want to have. So we don't have to talk about it today. We'll talk about it next month, but I just wanted to get that on the record and in your and on your desk so that you all can start thinking about whatever you'd like to talk about at retreat.
Thank you.
Cool. And I think that's it for licensing. So I'll move on to agenda item 11, matters from the chair and members of the authority.
I do not have any matters. Does anyone from the authority? No? Thanks, Caitlin.
So then it's just motions for adjournment.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Get your attention.
I'd make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it. Member Burns.
Okay.
All those in favor,
Oh, sorry.
say aye. Member Roberts, aye.
Member Burns, aye.
Crane, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 5:16 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. See you next month.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
job, Chair Roberts.
Yeah.
Well done.
Awesome.
I felt like it was like my first day of work,
Right.
first day on a new job. Everyone's
Did great.
watching.
You did great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did
Did
great.
it
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good
Thanks, everyone.
evening.
Thank you for
Bye.
the conversations.
Bye.
Yep.
Thanks,
Right.
staff, for all your support.
Thank you. Bye.